Today, the 5th episode of the amazing digital circus released on YouTube, and after the long wait, Glitch Productions and Gooseworks really put their all into this episode. Within this video I will go over what happened in the episode, give my general thoughts on it, and I would like to say what I both like and dislike about this episode. Also, if you'd like to see more content from me on this channel, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's get on with the video. So the video starts off with Zubul waiting in the circus as she normally does, before a portal opens up with the other members walking out after another thrilling adventure. Pomni sees something in the distance before it hides itself. At this point, we don't know what this figure is. Kane then talks to Zubul, having a little crash out at her.
Looks like this one was a home run, eh?
Oh, Zubul, you mismatched cash piano, I'll tear you to pieces! Constructive criticism would be greatly appreciated.
Looking for feedback on his adventures. After she refuses to comply, Kane rounds up everyone and tries to get them to do another one of his adventures again. After Zubul suggests the suggestion box, Kane decides that he will do something that he calls a lightning round, where the group will quickly go through all of the suggestions to see whether they like any of those adventures more than his. He also introduces a voting system where if the group doesn't like an adventure, they can skip the adventure and move on to the next one. The first adventure that they go on is the Savari adventure from Glitch Productions' first teaser on Twitter. This is called Poacher's Paradise. This adventure was made by Jax, and seems to just be another excuse to shoot the other members of the group by turning them into exotic wildlife. Once Jax tries to tear Gangle apart like a ravenous dog, Zubul creates a vote to make Jax a vegan, which ends up passing. This obviously annoys Jax, especially since everyone also voted to go to the next adventure. In the next adventure we find ourselves in Washington DC, USA, in the White House, where Pomni has been made President of the United States. This adventure was also teased on Twitter by Glitch. We see that Pomni is tasked with sorting out a war between Australia and New Zealand, but she has no idea what's going on. We find out that this is another one of Jack's adventures, as he tells Pomni that he didn't give her a character brief for the adventure, explaining why she is so confused. Jax then bursts into the room, claiming to be an Australian extremist with an explosive full of spiders, before cutting to Kane and Bubble watching everything from a TV. We then cut to Pomni trying to defuse the explosive before Gangle comes in with another one, claiming to be an extremist from New Zealand. Bro, what is going on? Just as the explosive detonates, we move on to the next adventure. The third adventure is set in a slice of life anime. It is pretty safe to say that this one was made by Gangle, as she is a big fan of art. This one doesn't last as long, as Jax tries to embarrass Gangle into skipping the adventure, and he succeeds. But in all honesty, I think this was short because the time and money that went into animating this adventure was a lot. The fourth adventure is just called Stargazing. I don't know who made this adventure, but I think it might be Pomni. However, if you know, please let me know in the comments. It's in this adventure that we finally start to see Jax's more emotionally capable side. He asks if Gangle is capable of happiness, but why would he ask that if he didn't care? He is pressed with that exact question and just brushes it off. Pomni then asks if he has any friends. Ragatha answers for him and says, not anymore. This seems to really annoy Jax as he looks at her with a look of distaste. Ragatha realizes that she has hit a spot that she should never go near and tries to apologize before leaving the situation entirely. Jax then slightly opens up to Pomni, asking why Ragatha is always positive and that it frankly annoys him. There is then an intermission which is really trippy and reminds me of this bit from Madagascar. Zubul then interrupts, asking what's going on before Bubble sends us into the next adventure. The fifth adventure is set in a bar in the 1950s. The style is similar to the old 1950s noir films. Zubul is the bartender and everyone seems to be very apathetic. Pomni mentions how Zubul knows her way around alcohol, and Zubul mentions how she used to be a bartender for a while and that she enjoys pouring drinks. Everyone then starts going around sharing what they were like before getting stuck in the circus. Pomni says that she used to work in a supermarket and that she would explore abandoned buildings as a cheap thrill, uploading the footage that she would film online. Jax says something about how he had a lung cancer diagnosis and that he was going to do something with a junkie friend that he knew from being a chemistry teacher. However, it's hard to tell whether he is making it up or not. Gangle says how she used to work in fast food and that she went to college for graphic design, but that was pretty much known already. However, we find out that Zubul used to be a tattoo artist as well as a bartender. Ragatha then tells everyone that she was a farm girl who grew up with a manipulative mother. Realizing that she might have overshared, she backpedals a bit. Jax seems like he wants to talk about his past, but realizes he can't. A guy then comes into the bar, and as quickly as he enters, he disappears. Jax then apologizes to Pomni about a present, and she accepts. Surprised that he would do that, but we find out that it was just to snide Ragatha for what she said earlier. After being afraid of corn, we move on to the final adventure. The last adventure being the baseball stadium that was teased a few times. We see Bubble do a flight.
Beautiful night for a game, right, Bubble?
before being introduced to a bizarro version of the team that we know and love. We find out that this is Ragatha's adventure. The disappearing man sings 2.3% of the national anthem, and the game begins. One detail I do want to point out is when evil Ragatha does the Dio pose from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
You're going to die someday!
The world! Tokyo Tomare!
I know Gooseworks is a fan of the series, and these references are always appreciated by me. After Jax tries to rage bait Ragatha some more, the group calls a vote to put Jax in a interesting outfit, which ends up succeeding. To be honest, I'd love to see a video of Michael Kovac recording some of these lines that he had to do for this bit, because I think it would just be so funny to see. Moving on, Pomni has a word with Ragatha telling her that she needs to be able to show her negative emotions sometimes. When Jax comes back, Ragatha has a crash out at Jax and ends up apologising to Pomni and surprisingly to Jax as well, specifically for bringing up that comment that she made prior. This surprises Jax too, as he actually seems to take it to heart. Moving on, we see that Gangle hits a home run, showing that the practice from episode 4 really came in handy. After Pomni gives her shot to Ragatha, she uses the opportunity to have a one-on-one talk with Jax, presumably to talk about more personal issues. When everyone goes back to the circus, we see that Jax and Pomni go towards the hallway as Jax wanted to show her something. And that is where the episode ends. So, was this a good episode? Yes, 100%. In fact, I think that this is their best episode yet. Goose and Glitch keep showing us that with every installment, they can always go bigger and better with each new episode, and they deliver on that promise. It feels like there is a new team of animators who are really talented at what they do. The writing is amazing, the styles of the animation are showed off really well, and the jokes landed perfectly almost every time. The thing that I like about the amazing digital circus is that I know that I can go into watching an episode and know that I'm going to enjoy watching it. This episode has clearly been planned out for at least half a year, definitely more, and it really shows. I also really liked that they referenced the Gaslight District in Gangle's adventure with the pictures on the wall. Do I have any criticisms of the episode? Not particularly. I would have liked for it to be longer, but it's also the standard length of an episode, so I can't really complain about that. However, there was one shot where Pomni's head was way bigger than her body. I know that this is because of perspective, but I know that Blender animators will distort the proportions of limbs to make perspectives look better. I just think that this is done really poorly in this shot. However, other than that, I think that this is the best episode that Goose and Glitch have made yet, and as far as I know, there are still 3 more to go. Overall, I knew this episode was going to be good. The hype around it was definitely there, and the bar was set high for this episode. However, despite all of that, I still think that Glitch Productions, Gooseworks, the animators, the voice actors, and everyone else met everyone's expectations and went beyond. However, I would like to know what your thoughts are down in the comments section below. If you want to see more animation content from me, I recently made a video on why an episode of Hell of a Boss started as one of the worst in the series, but turned out to actually be amazing. So please check that out if you've got the time. That's all from me, see ya.